Hey, what's up everybody? Rob Marzullo here, Ram Studio Comics. Welcome back. And in today's video, I'm going to show you a bit of a comparison of how I would look at drawing a male arm versus a female arm and kind of some different things that you can think about when doing that. So I'm just going to start off with a boring pose, kind of off to the side. So here's the shoulder, here's the line down to the elbow, here's the line down to the wrist, making sure to make the forearm more elongated than the top portion. It's good to think about it like that the forearm to the wrist is every bit as long, at least, as to the shoulder. So from here to here to there to there. And then the proportions defined will help to make that look even more over exemplified or whatever. Basically, because by the time you get down to the wrist, it's pretty skinny. So it makes it look longer with proportions as well. So what I'm going to do is draw just a stylized, since primarily what we focus on here on this channel is comics, and that's primarily what I focus on, trying to show and things like that. I'm just going to show you the stylized representation. Obviously, there's lots of stuff out there for trying to get better at drawing the accurate anatomy that you see. But I just do a stylized representation, so I've got a decent understanding where a few things go, but it's not entirely correct. It's just, I'm drawing comics, so I just kind of have fun with it. But so I might draw the shoulder, a little bit differently than most, or, the proportions or the position of the tricep a little bit different than what is considered accurate. But what I want to show you here in this particular video is like after you get your stylized drawing down, so I'll throw in some line weight like I like to do with, my drawings and stuff. So I'll get that in there real quick. And let's say something like this. I think the main thing to keep in mind when trying to draw this and make it look relatively correct is just, the main proportions and size relationship and also the position. Like one of the things I think about with the shoulder is that it needs to be larger and it needs to actually be offset a bit so it looks like it's kind of coming down at this angle, and the bicep or the upper arm is coming down at this angle, and then the forearm is coming back at this angle. And the reason why I think that helps is because it shows a little bit more depth to your 2D drawing than drawing everything straight up and down like this. So just, just food for thought on that one. But that's one of the things that I keep in mind. The other thing is that the tricep should be much higher. It probably sits more up into here with a real depiction. But for my stylized representation, we'll just go with this. Okay, so here's the way that I would construct the kind of the masculine male arm, or however you want to define it, but somebody that's pretty strong. So the superhero arm, pretty much. And then, you get into your shading, your cross hatching. I can't say it today. Cross hatching and all that other fun stuff to really make it stand out and have some real depth. So, you overshade the muscles because you want them to really look, pretty strong in that. And you start thinking about where you can do all this fun rendering that you like to do with your comic stuff. So that's how you kind of work through that. Now the part I want to show you is like when drawing the female arm is that it's predominantly the same thing, just proportion differences, and based on those proportions it's going to have a little bit more of an elongated feel. So what I wanted to do is show you how I would do a comparison of that. So I'll start off by doing the same kind of dish cylinder shapes like this with the openings for the connections there, the change in direction. Again, making sure to make the forearm look really longer. And this is style choice stuff too. So you can basically get in here and go, well, I wanted to have these really long forearms because I think it looks cool in my comic book style. That's all part of what you're doing with this stuff. So, feel free to experiment with that because it's how you will in turn kind of develop style choices over sometimes accuracy. But notice I'm still getting in the bicep. It's more elongated and slender. Same thing with the tricep. And based on the character you're drawing, like whether or not you're doing, say this particular rendition is going to be the arm of Wonder Woman or She-Hulk, then they're going to have a little bit more definition. I would say, more definition in She-Hulk than Wonder Woman, but not much. I mean, it depends on the style of the artist. I've seen artists draw Wonder Woman pretty darn buff, So, you can get in some of that tricep. I still wouldn't show as much segmentation as I did on this arm. But again, if your style and your choices go in that direction, then so be it. That's all up to you, and what you think the fans want and all that good stuff. But so there's some of the hints to the anatomy, but the more elongated form, and then you get some of the top deltoid muscles and things like that, and so that's how I would do relatively. And actually that upper shoulder looks funky, so I'd probably work on that a bit more. So I'll have to erase that down, see if I can fix it. It just looks too just keep in mind whenever the shoulder looks too much like a pumpkin, there's something wrong. And then also it shouldn't look perfectly oval like that. Again, I just picture that it shifts and changes. The back of it should be different in shape than the front of it, and also that it should appear to have this bit of a direction. So, just remember that if you ever struggle with this type of stuff and getting it right, reference obviously is always the first thing to go to and just incorporate into your style, but also just to picture things in a 3D space. So if you have to draw it like this and like this, it can really kind of help you visualize where the flaw might be, and like how it looks too flat right here and doesn't have enough bend in, and maybe the bend needs to come in and just protrude back out, or whatever. Sometimes it's subtle, other times it's it's a little harder to spot or whatever, and that's where again I would go to reference to try to figure out where I'm making that mistake. So we'll just go ahead and go with this for now, even though it's not perfect. But get this drawn back in just again and try to hint to things. That's why you see me leaving gaps here and there. I try not to draw a continuous line around every muscle. It would start to look ridiculous. Okay, so now let's try another female arm, but then let's try it just a little bit more, less defined. So we'll get the shoulder in there, and we'll start with the cylinders again, like this, and like this. So based on it being less defined, maybe I want to put less emphasis on the length of the form, even though the proportions overall would still be the same. It's just the overlying fat or skin or whatever that's making it look less defined. So I still want the same muscle groups in there. I want to soften up my transitions. But less defined overall. So, maybe, less of this bend that you'd see here. See how I brought this line up to really show kind of an over segmented, change there. So here I'm going to do less of that, if any at all, and barely any hint to the musculature right there. So here I've got the line here, the other muscle coming from behind it, like you see real evident over here. You see both of them here, and then another one back here. So here I'm just going to really simplify. Maybe, I don't even know if I'll keep that line right there. And then the shoulder I want to look a bit larger, and then almost no transitional line from the part where it goes from shoulder to tricep and shoulder to bicep. And again, this is where studying realistic drawings will help you to understand this and maybe figure this out for yourself. But that's ultimately how I would try to interpret that into my style and show a character that's maybe less defined, maybe doesn't quite hit the gym as much, So and I think it's important to do that. Everything from overweight to skinny, ultra skinny, and all that, and really practicing those variations. And that's why I'm just showing you a boring side pose, because I want you to focus more on how you would try to not get in the habit of always drawing everything like this, and saving that for just your superhero-esque poses, and really getting in the habit of seeing it in different tones and different segmentations and definition, basically. So that's essentially what I wanted to show you here today. So we'll do some other poses as we progress forward, and we'll do a variety of poses and things like that. But let me know what you'd like to see in the future videos of this particular type of topic, and that's what I'll cover for you. And keep in mind that you can support the work that I do here by visiting the links in the description box below. And I appreciate you stopping by. So as always, keep drawing, keep having fun, and I will talk to you soon.